Now, these are a big thing in my life. Actually, when I put them up in my flat, when I put them up on my wall, after all of that, what I went through, this was a massive moment for me.
By the way, these are mine, not his. Yeah.
I think I feature on.
No, it's a bit old for you, that one. You know, but these are signify, so it's probably my biggest achievement in my life.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever going to beat that again. You know, nothing, no albums, because that market's different
when you look back and you see everybody with a gold disc and all that shit, you never think by mixing or putting tunes on an album, I'm going to receive this. It's just like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? It's mental.
And this is for like such a small fucking genre within the industry, and I get this and that.
So
and the other ones are
2003.
Yeah.
And
it's gone gold. I got a gold version of this.
What's the difference?
I don't give them to you. You can buy one if you want.
Oh, I don't have to fucking buy it. I give you the fucking tunes for nothing.
So you said Bonkers 1 came out in what?
6.
That's
so it's quite a when was Bonkers 2 then?
Bonkers 4
was pretty quick afterwards.
Yeah, and then 3 was
This was the biggest one. That was the biggest one.
And it was such a big space between them though. But then, if we go back to talking about the artwork was still the iconic artwork. So even though there was that big separation in time,
and that was the start of, as I'd say, a Sharkey story in the music. Because I've got my favourite mixes. You know, I enjoyed our mix. It's one of my favourite mixes on Bonkers.
I enjoyed mixing that.
You know, and Bonkers 3 is one of my favourite. It was the signifying of the start of Sharkey doing his own thing. It was the start of Sharkey doing his own thing, his own sound. And it was apparent in Bonkers 3, it was the start of Hard Life. It's got Sound Assassin in it. And they're seminal pieces of the early start of trancecore, the Me, Bunter and Ramos and Kevin.
That's the worst fucking word
what year was Hard Life?
Hard Life was 97.
97? Because I was talking to you about
Well, you did The Awakening, and you're going to go back to it just so we can release it on the mixdown, because that was a tough thing for you to achieve.
It's Hard Life album that you done after spending loads of time at my studio room and back wrote an album and all sounded like me.
Hard Life for me still sounds just fucking incredible, man.
Do you know it's the Culture Vulture? It's built on the Culture Vulture. That it's an old distortion.
Yeah, I've got the UAD.
Yes, it's just our earliest soft clipping.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know,
appreciate it.
Giving it some love and loudness, because people say, "What are you doing?" We whacked everything through the Culture Vulture. And I've always been the string boy and pads, and that's easy about my work and arpeggios. That had a very distinct sound. But man, that sound, that whole sound of Hard Life was built from big studios. I worked in Abbey Road on that studio. I learned loads.
That you can tell the difference in quality. Because I felt for me, like, this is something that I've talked to a lot of, the DJs who've been about from day dot. And when hardcore was, split from drum and bass, and I was into all the old school stuff, and then it, progressed, and when it became happy hardcore, that's when I kind of fell out with it, because I felt like the production just tipped off the edge of a cliff. And I had a really interesting chat with Hixie about this, and I said, do you think it was a case of, because like in the early days, people would like maybe jam and they had a few pieces of kit, maybe a 909, a 303.
Yeah, it wasn't much equipment. But then you had to do loads.
You went to a big studio.
You make what you've got.
But then you had to go into a bigger studio. You could probably go into a bigger studio to work on it, so the quality, the final output was better.
Farm, it was next level. It was racks and racks. I had racks and racks of outboard. Now in my studio, I had a few compressors, a couple of reverbs. Yeah. You were building all, mate. It was next level, and this was really,
But then when you get to the happy, when happy hardcore was even at its height and just before it fell off, more people were making their music just in small home-based or just outside the house studio, and they just had the computer, a couple of sample CDs, badly treated room, and you could just tell the difference in the quality, and then Hard Life comes out, and it's like, it's just sonically,
it was next level.
It's just sonically something completely different. It's like, it still stands up today as a just a solid piece of music. But you talked about me remixing Shining Down. I was like, I used to love that when it first came out, and then like a lot of tunes from that era, as time moved on and production values and everything changed, I listened to some of those things that I used to love when I was a kid and kind of go, oh. But now, you know what, and I'm sure a lot, and I do that about my own music, so I'm not just pissing on happy hardcore, because there's a lot of my early shit, I'm like, how did that even get released, what the fuck? But I did. So. Exactly. So nobody else saying that.
I think one thing I used to say was, Joey, your tops are really harsh, mate.
Yeah, do you know why? Because I had shit speakers and I used to have them on full blast. And I mean, you know, when they used to do with me, I remember Si came in and he was just like that. I'm like, just started with a kick drum. He's like, fucking hell, lad. And I'm like, he's like, do you have it like this all the time? Like, all day, every day. Because if it was...
Until I die.
Yeah, and then I've got raging tinnitus, and all tracks are written in the key of... So yeah, there was a definite. It was something Gamma said to me. He was like, if you can play it really quiet and it's still banging, then when you turn it up, and that was the thing. I used to just have it dead loud, so everything sounded banging.
Great, yeah.
But it was shite.
But if you turn it down, and you're like,
yeah.
Fuck.
So that's why I never turned it down.
Well, it's something,
just get it out there.
It's something that
Like that, on a level.
But it's quite funny because it comes to production values. Back in the day, I mean, me and you, Smith, did we talk laughs? It's just about DB.
I've never loved you.
But, you know, and then coming back and you go, I need to be on my laughs. You know, I need to be more super hyper aware of it and what I'm doing.
You're talking about laughs. People are this camera going, what the fuck?
Yeah, so laughs is basically a monitoring system that started out with TV about how loud you get something, and it's just a measuring system. It's like, you get decibels.
But you also got audible levels in the sense of audible volume, audible loudness,
perceivable loudness, and it's all sorts of different
it's fucking
things.
hard work.
It's hard.
I had to go back to school, Joe, and I told you I was sat there for months and months and months coming back, mate.
Yeah.
You know, go, no, I need to get on my game. I need to go back to school. To come back and think I'm some OG dude. No, mate, it was never going to work like that. It's hard work, mate.
Yeah.
It's graft, and, you know, and I realised that, and I spent 18 months in the books, mate.
Yeah, because it was the loudness
Well,
war.
that's important. No, you've been reading books.
Hey, but I mean, the loudness war, which some people have probably never heard of, but there's a point where everyone was trying to get stuff as loud as possible. Yeah. And I remember playing at a rave, I can't remember what one it was, but I remember the sound engineer coming up to me and he was moaning about how most sound engineers do at parties, how much the DJs are cranking into the red. And when I go on, I always turn it down, because I went to university and done like sound engineering and done at college as well. And we had to set up sound systems and all that. And we had to do it for our own parties also. So
get out of balance.
Beep. So like I always knew if you turned it down, it actually sounds better. And one of the things, even turning it down there, the guy who was speaking to me, he's like, it doesn't matter how much you turn it down. He says the mastering that you guys are doing is just so ridiculous. He said it's different when it's like drum and bass, where there's some more dynamics, and you know it's good. He says it doesn't matter like how much you crank it or how much you have it down, because it's pushed so much into the
actual
mastering.
Yeah.
Because people didn't really know about mastering. There's this thing called T-Rax
Yeah,
everyone used to use.
I actually spoke to Ian about this yesterday. I went, mate, I had to listen to your old Toy Town master today. And I went, T-Rex, you know, and it was cooked, you know, I'm sitting there going,
everybody had the Dan Stills T-Rex preset, remember?
Yeah. And I always wonder, because I used to be like, what's going on? Because I would make a track, and then I would put in T-Rex, and one would sound amazing, and then I'd do another track, and I'd throw it in, and it'd sound terrible, and I'm just like, and I just couldn't figure out why. I'm like, what the hell's going on? But it's when you figure out about, you know, this, we're going back to the love thing, and
gain staging,
and what it's just things like, say for instance this,
the big Christmas tree.
Here's an analogy, right? This room is the ceiling,
my room,
the top of the volume, 0 decibels, how loud it can go when you turn it up full blast. Now, if you go into the red, it means you're going through the ceiling, you're breaking through the roof, and all these pieces of furniture in here are different parts of the song. So the more
fucking heavy, man.
The more things you start bringing in this room, if you bring more people in and more furniture, it starts getting, you know, crowded. And you know, if you stuff it up to the ceiling, you know, there's no place for anything. But say for instance, we take these chairs and we turn them head on head. It's like a jigsaw now. So you know where the level is, and it's just trying to make everything fit into the mix perfectly. So yeah, that's the difficult thing. Is like when, you know, early days of making music and using
that mastering thing.
Did we? You didn't know.
I didn't know that.
I can remember. I can listen to stuff now, and I'll say a comment from Scott Brown in a minute, but when I listen to some back to some of my early stuff, I'm thinking, fucking hell, that hi-hat's not in tune with that vocal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that didn't matter then.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Is
And
it-
I can remember a convo with Scott Brown, he's like, you know what? You know, half of my early tunes never had a fucking crash cymbal in them. And I was like, fuck off. And I listened back, I was like, don't.
One quick more production-y type story before we get into some other stuff. So, it was a vibe light, I can't remember exactly where. I think it was at Leicester Uni.
Yeah.
And I just sauntered it. Well, I had been in already because I definitely did a drinking man. And you were talking to Ham. And I used to just kind of, I didn't know everybody at times, so just kind of like saunter over, like, and just kind of go.
Try to look important.
And like, you know, you see the people at dinner parties who don't really know anything, they kind of idle into a conversation, and you were talking, and you kind of turn around to me, and I'm like, alright. And then I think it might have been you, and you were like, how many kilohertz do you roll off your hi-hats? And I was like, what's a fucking kilohertz?
I love it.
And I was like, I just twiddle stuff till it sounds good, and then walked off because I realised I'm a fucking imbecile.
You know what, bizarrely, before digital was a thing, I've not been to like college or done shit like that. It's like I just did my desk, and I did exactly like tongue based.
I'd already been to college and uni though.
I still didn't know shit.
Yeah, but this is the funny thing. Some of the things that we
do you
did
remember
to...
coming into my studio now?
Yeah, with the old Mackie, yeah.
And I can remember John saying, best mix the Bonkers album. I'm like, what? It's like best mix, like your tune's best mix the Bonkers. I was like, sweet.
But then
But it's not because I know what I'm doing, it's just because I
got a good ear.
Yeah, but it's funny because when you look back, we were driving some of those Mackie desks.
Mackie desks.
But we didn't even realise we were soft clipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you
No,
don't
we
know
did-
that.
we
We
did
didn't
realise. We did
Yeah, but
realise.
we didn't know the exact
Yeah.
technical
Yeah.
thing we were doing.
But you need to know
You
the
know.
technical thing. That's you don't need to
Sometimes,
know.
I mean, two of the greatest things that worked in my career for me were
Mistakes.
stuff
yeah.
I couldn't do. So like, all the early Lethal Theory stuff, I knew what reverb was, but I didn't know how to use it. And reverb's basically the echo in the room.
Space.
There's not much in here because it's got some treatment, but.
Fucking
I would-
spitting forces this, you cunt.
But I didn't know how to use reverb. I knew it was on some synths, and I had some reverb plugins, and when I put them on, it just sounded a mess because I didn't know what it was doing. So a lot of my melodies or riffs, they had a lot of notes in them, and they were really fast paced because if I'd put a bit of space, if I put a bit of space, the reverb would die off, and it'd be like I could only put so much space in, however much reverb was on the plugin or whatever. So that dictated how the riff sounded. So most of my riffs were really fast, and that's what was a big appeal. A lot of people though, because it didn't sound like anything else. And the big reason of my success is because I didn't know how to do something. And then the same happened with Destructive Tendencies. When I started learning how to make kick drums, no one would tell me how to make them. There was no tutorials online.
Yeah.
So I had to just listen to tracks and go, how the fuck are they making these? And I would just
And you
twist it
start
about.
learning about pitch envelopes.
I would just start doing, distortion,
Yeah.
EQ, and I would get this crunchy sound. But then what would happen is, I'm a big melody guy, and I would have those beautiful breakdowns, big melodies, and then it would get to the drop, and my kick drum had zero space left for any sort of melody. So all I could put over it was like screeches. So we sounded like nobody else. So I had big breakdowns, and I would drop and just go because that's all I could fit. And I didn't realise that that's what the reason was. And then we got huge off the back of that because it didn't sound like
Some of the biggest tunes I've ever written, and some of the biggest riffs I've ever written are down to just dropping the wrong part
Yeah.
on another part on my Atari or on Cubase, whatever that
And
was.
it's hitting a
And
sampler.
just like, what the
and it's
fuck?
hitting a random
And then just like,
sampler.
whoa,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fucking amazing.
It's amazing.
And then I just
On Hard Life, on You Completely, I dropped the vocal onto a wrong MIDI channel. It sounded fucking brilliant.
that's it.
It sounded brilliant, and I kept it in
There's a
there.
Cashmere, the producer, the big producer. He had a seminar thing, and people were asking questions and stuff. It's online if you want to search it out. I can't remember what the tune is. It's G6 or something. It was a big, huge hit.
G6, that one.
Some big hit, and somebody asked him a question about it. He's like, oh, the riff thing, something, and he's like, I wrote this melody. He's like, and then I accidentally dropped it onto the bottom channel, and then sold 5 million copies.
I love it.
That's how he finished
That's
the
the best
sentence,
mistake.
and everybody's just like,
Some of the biggest riffs I've ever just got mistakes.